Alright, so in this tutorial we have a number of things to work on, but let's look at the top. First thing we're going to do is we're going to finish the aesthetics on this new post view, just so that we have something to work with when we keep going forward. So let's look at where we were and what we need to do. While that loads, we can see that we need to, let's go ahead and do this first. Let's fix the unit on the enum. Okay, so we will go right over here. We'll go with this. We'll go with enum. I'm going to have you just do this kind of on your own because it's a lot to retype since I took the time to do it already. But what you need to do is you need to go to this ingredient unit, and you need to make it say, you can I'll leave this here for comparison, but it should look like this. So it should say ingredient unit string, and then case cup, and then what comes to the right of it is what you need it to actually display on the app itself. So in this case, they're actually all the same, but there's a chance you might do things that are not. So you might want this to say leader instead. So you can use this to refer to it, and this is the actual thing that'll type out. Okay. So I'm gonna leave it like that because I want it to say L. All right. And we'll go here and we'll find the next thing we want it to do. Let's get rid of this one. We're going to run to fixing the decimals. We're actually going to use another tutorial I had to fix the decimals. We're going to use the vacation planner. But let's do the left line of text first. Okay, resume. Let's go over here. Let's see what we got. Just a refresher of what we had previously put in. Alright, so the easiest way to do this is it's not necessarily that the text is not left aligned, it's that all of these items are they're aligned with each other in the center. So a lot of you might be thinking what we can do is we can just say alignment, and we can use dot leading, right? But if I remember correctly, this doesn't work, and I think the issue here is that it's actually, even if I do this, it's not all pushed to the side. So what we can do instead is, well, we can do that, and then next to that we'll put right here an H stack. Okay. Actually, even better, what we should just do is over here inside. Well, to minimize the number of views, we can actually go out. Let's go out here to this V stack. We'll put an H stack. Okay. And then to the right of this V stack, we'll put a spacer. And there we go. That kicked everything out to the left. Alright. So we get the spacer. The spacing of 0 in that H stack, and for that V stack, let's put spacing of 0. Yeah, to be honest with you, actually, I think my biggest issue with this here is how everything is kicked off to the side. So I'm gonna actually do what I had originally planned on doing during this tutorial instead. What we'll do is we'll actually we'll put this inside of this H stack, and next to each one we'll put a spacer. There we go. We end up in the same boat. It's okay, we'll get around to that. So now what we'll do is, for that scroll view, everything in that V stack there, I want to put some padding on it. So I'm going to say padding. Okay. And then I'm going to go over to this H stack. I'm sorry. We're going to actually take this and we're going to pull it back out inside that scroll view. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to take this one, cut that, which means I need to take that spacer out. And since we can't really avoid that line for now, we might as well put that inside that H stack. Sorry, such a silly thing to be going back and forth on. Okay, so then put that spacer there. It'll push everything to the left, and lastly, in this V stack here contains the for each. That one will say alignment leading. There we go. Alright, to be honest with you, instead of going through and recreating this entire thing, I'm going to take this whole item here. I'm going to take the entire contents of scroll view. It's best if you select everything, click Control I. That'll kind of re-indent everything. So I'll take the entire contents of scroll view. I'll take all that. Okay. And I'm going to go and replace it inside of steps. And we'll just need to replace ingredients with steps. Let's say this step. This will say this step dot descript. You don't even need this interpolation. Alright, and there we are. So that took care of that part. Alright. And if we play it, it's also scrollable. So we can do that, but I'm not going to waste that time right now. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is we need to finish setting, we need to start setting up an image picker, okay? So an image picker is what allows us to go to the photo library into the camera, and that is quite a task. So we really get into something here called a UI view controller representable, which gets really tedious kind of working with it. But this process is it's gonna be composed of three parts. We're gonna have the user interface that you're used to. We're gonna have this UI picker controller that's gonna let us pick an image, and we're gonna have a picker coordinator. Okay, and I think the best thing to do is to start actually by creating this image picker coordinator, not these other pieces. Okay, so I'm gonna select the entire image picker coordinator that I had already made, and we're going to talk through it rather than build it together. The reason I'm going to do that, to be honest with you, it's just really tedious to go through and build over and over. So I'm going to minimize everything here inside my new post view, and we're not going to keep all of this. It's not going to be kept in new post view, but I'm going to create it in here so we don't have to deal with the fact of or the issue of autocomplete not working. And so we're just going to discuss it. You can write it. And we're going to write all three of these things out. Or at least these two. We're going to at least write these two things out. And then once we're done writing them, I'm going to move them into their new file. Okay? So just write them out with me in this new post view. So, image picker coordinator. You need to make sure that it adheres to NS object, UI navigation controller delegate, and UI picker controller delegate. And this is essentially going to let us manage the image that we end up selecting in the UI image picker. And we have a couple of very important things here. And the first one is that we have this function right here, image picker controller. And it's essentially the way it works is we have a picker. We also have did finish picking media with info. So this is the biggest thing. It's trying to decide when you're done picking the media with info, what do you do with it? And so essentially this function is responsible for taking that image and assigning it back to the image picker. Okay, so this is one thing I suggest right now. What you do is you pause and you write this all out. Okay, now once you're done writing that out, the next thing we need to do is we need to create this image picker itself. similarly, what I'm going to do here for myself, and I suggest you do the same, I'm going to do that. I'm going to write coordinator. Okay. Now above that, I'm going to write. Now I copy the actual UI view controller representable. And UI view controller representable is essentially a way for us to bridge the gap between SwiftUI and UIKit. And I'm going to write that. I'm going to write in here so I know what that is. Alright. So I suggest you pause, and I would just kind of copy this all out too, okay? And so we're creating a binding variable image, and it's going to be of type optional UI image. We need to have a coordinator and a UI view controller type, and these two are going to allow us to essentially communicate with the coordinator, and it'll also allow us to communicate upwards with the now native SwiftUI stuff. We're going to put source type. We're going to talk a little more about source type when we start working on this last third part of the image picker. Okay, and when we get there, source type just refers to whether or not you're grabbing images from the camera or whether or not you're grabbing images from the photo library. Okay, so now once you go inside here, we need to make that UI view controller that is going to be presented, and things that need to be declared inside of that are the picker source type, which we have. It's pulling that from here. Right now it's the default of camera, unless you assign it something else when you call it. And the picker delegate. Alright. Lastly, well, the last two things are, we're not using this update view controller. We are using make coordinator though, and make coordinator is essentially using this image picker coordinator that we had previously created. Okay. So that's the second piece. Okay. Make sure you pause right here. Make sure you have image picker correct. Okay. I suggest you make it identical at first, and then you can modify later. An image picker coordinator. Okay. All right. Now, the next piece is what we are used to working with now. We're setting up this view right here, making it coordinated with those. So there are some variables we need in here. Okay. We need a show sheet. We need show image picker. And we need source type. Okay, so let's go ahead. I'm going to write these. I'm going to start doing this manually with you. Okay, so inside here we need binding or show sheet. It's going to be equal to false. Okay, the next one we need is show image picker. So we have states actually, sorry. State. Okay, and the last one we need is source type. UI source type. Okay, and now inside of here, what I previously did in my, when I was trying everything out, was I had already created this image here, but I'm gonna get rid of this part right here. I don't care about this part. What I care about is this if image is not equal to null. So we'll go here. We got two of these. You know what? This is crucial. Everything I just wrote, okay, I accidentally wrote inside image picker, okay? So very carefully back out of that, okay? Make sure image picker looks like exactly like this, okay? Make sure we now unfold new post view, okay? Folding all that data we had to create it. And up here, we need to start creating. I'm going to comment this out. So I'm going to comment, give it a comment, sorry. Sample data, okay? And now, inside of this new post view, this part, okay? Make sure not these two new things we created. Don't get confused with that. But show sheet, show image picker, and source type will go in there, okay? And the next thing we need to do is we need to look at this blue image that we created. All right. Source type equals document. Sorry, one last thing is this equals dot camera. So we're saying it's of type this and it's equal to dot camera. Good. Now we open up that body, we open up that VStack. Right here we have this image. Okay. And what we need to do is we need to say, well, it's not showing us anything because I had a capital L. So if we save that now, first of all, we should probably see the time lapse in there. But the next thing we need to do is we need to use an if statement. So we need to say if, we need to actually put one more variable in here, is image. Okay, make sure we keep that as well. All right, there we go, image. Okay, just making sure we didn't have anything extra anywhere. Hope we have everything we need. All right. So what we need to do is we need to go inside here where the time lapse. We need to say if image does not equal nil, then we need to use the actual image. Okay, and copy and paste that in there, and I'm just gonna have it say UI image. So let's see what that says. UI. I prefer using autocomplete like that. There we go, image. Okay. So that's saying if image is not nil, then we can actually use the image up here. And if that's the case, I can just force unwrap it. Okay. Actually, I don't like force unwrapping. I'm trying to get out of that habit. So what I'll do is I'll say if it is, then we'll use we'll force unwrap for now, and what I was trying to do essentially was to use the time-lapse image, but right now we'll just stick with that, okay? And from there we'll say what we're going to use is we're going to keep all this resizable, we're going to use frame, a scale to fit, all that's going to say. It's going to say, now an else statement is going to say else, and we will add the time-lapse image. So either the image is nil and we use the time-lapse, or it's not nil and we use the image itself, okay? So we save it, and that takes care of this area essentially. So now we have this right here, this where we need to toggle whether or not we want to choose a picture. So what we're creating, we're toggling is this. We want this. Okay, it's from another project. So we'll go over here and we'll add that button. So if we think about where we want it, personally, I think I want it right up here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to put this inside of a Z-stack. Okay, Z-stack. Okay, so if you created everything exactly the same way I did, we have a Z-stack and an H-stack and then images inside. Okay, and as of now, it sounds confusing why we have the H-stack, but remember, we're going to want to be able to scroll this way, left and right, okay? So I put that Z-stack there. I'm going to fold up that H-stack, and now on top of that, I'm going to put a V-stack, and inside I'm going to put image, system name. I'm going to go to SF symbols, pick the one I want. I'm sure it's just going to say plus, but let's just make sure. I want this plus dot circle. Okay, and I need to put that in an H stack because what I'm going to do in both of those is I'm going to put a spacer below the H stack, and I'm going to put a spacer right here to the left of the image. We'll hit resume. Alright, we can almost predict it's going to be right here. There it is, sure enough, okay? So what we need to do is we need to take that image, we'll give it a padding, okay? And in addition, we'll give it a font size that's slightly larger. System, maybe 30. Remember, you can treat SF symbols like they're a font, okay? Size. Okay. And lastly, foreground color of gray. Actually, what I would like to do even better than that, well, gray's fine, and then we'll say opacity of 0.7. And we put black, so it's a little easier to see. Okay, and now I'm just going to make this a little cleaner. So I'll do it like that. Okay, that looks pretty good to me. So now if I were to even scroll through these, this thing's going to stay there. It's almost at, if you do a lot of web development, it's I would call this like absolute, the positioning of it. Okay, so I'm going to save that. And that right there is actually going to be a button. So let's go ahead and create a button here. I'm going to put it above that image. I'm going to take that whole image that we just created. I'm going to put that inside. Okay. And then that action. What we're going to do with that action now is we're going to have it toggle show sheet. Okay. So self. Let's make sure we didn't miss something here. Alright. Let's set up this toggle really quick. So self dot show sheet dot toggle. Okay. Now I'm going to take this image that we just created. I'm going to grab it. Try again. There's something it doesn't like here. Let's see. We're just going to go back to having the image here for a second, okay? Everything does indeed look good. Okay, so if we grab that out, save it, we'll drag a button in, just like a lonesome button right there. Everything looks good again. So we'll take that text and we'll replace it with the image. Everything looks good. Alright, so we had just an issue with our action, okay? So we need show sheet.toggle. Okay, just want to self. Alright, that makes sense. I'm not sure what's happening. We must have missed a bracket or something of that nature. Alright, just re-indented everything. And so now when I click this button, it toggles show sheet, okay? And what I need to do now is I need to create an action sheet, okay? So we're going to use .action sheet. And I just want the is presented, okay? And then is presented will be based off of show sheet. Gotta put that sign right there. Alright. So now it's not continuing, it's not really compiling because we need to put the action sheet inside here. So action sheet, and then we can probably just do that. Yep. Okay, so title will say add a picture to your post. I'm gonna put no text inside the message and make sure, sorry, I put a string here, but it's crucial, you gotta put text, okay? So that's a text. Now the next thing is we need the list of buttons we're gonna use, okay? So first button is gonna be type default. And I'm not gonna fill it in yet, I'm gonna do another one, .default. And then .cancel. Okay, those are the three buttons we're going to use. The first button, make sure you use text and not string over and over. I kept making this mistake and it was really setting me back on time. So this one's going to say camera. Okay. This one's going to say photo library. And for action, I'm going to put, let's look at what we had here. Okay. So when I click on camera, what we need to do is we need to change show image picker is equal to true. Okay. And we need to have, so in both cases that's what it is, and then also we need source type for the camera is going to be equal to .camera, which is the default. That's what I'd set it to. And then this one will say photo library. There we go. We need self dot for all those. All right. Through inside of closure here. All right, and so now every time I click this button, let's hit play. Let's see what happens. We have that action sheet popping up, okay? So now we just need this action sheet here to carry on and open up the actual image picker, okay? So now what I'll do is I'll continue on down, and what you'll see is that we can go, let's go ahead and minimize this for a second, or we'll fold it, okay? And we'll take, we have this VStack right here. So the VStack that is overarching, okay? So now if I should be able to see the VStack that is the highest level item inside the body, okay? We need to add a sheet, okay? And so the sheet needs to be presented based on show image picker, okay? And the view it needs to show is going to be image picker, okay? Right here. So actually I don't like using this content thing. I like getting rid of that, and I like doing it like this. Okay, and what is it going to show for us? It's going to show us image picker. Okay, and it needs to use image to share things back and forth, and it needs to use source type. So what I'm saying is that when it shows that image picker that we've been trying to make for so long, we need to make sure that it passes through the source type, okay? Because we spent all this time setting up this so that we can see what source type it wants, camera versus photo library. We need to make sure that the image that we grab in there gets passed backwards, okay? So we need to pass in that bindable image. All right, that should take care of that. So now if I click here and hit photo library, there's the photo library. We should probably do this on the simulator. Oh, it even worked here actually. So photo library. And there we go. So I can grab an image, and right now it's not doing anything. I shouldn't say it's not doing anything. It's simply, it is putting the image up here now, but we need to tell it afterwards. We need to tell it to actually hide this after it finishes picking the image. Okay, so we are pretty much there. Okay, if you bear with me, we will finish this up in the next video. We'll make sure that this hides right away once you pick the image. We'll work on the formatting of this image inside here, okay, because we're going to say we can only use a square image. But yeah, all right, so bear with me and we'll keep moving right along.